Good, happy Tuesday morning, November 19, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Tuesday morning, so let's begin. First up, we begin on the WMUR News 9 Stormwatch. Update, light showers Monday night, light mix incoming. With this full weather video forecast, let's go to WMUR News 9, Mike Haddad.
November is cab month at your Mahindra tractor dealer. Get special cab savings all...
Thank you very much for joining us. Stormwatch 9 weather on the web. Entering a new week here, and this one starting off unsettled. We'll see some light showers tonight. Now, if you're in areas north and west of the state capital, we may be down just near the freezing mark, so some light icing on untreated surfaces not out of the question. Just allow some extra time if you're traveling tonight. Again, a lot of the precipitation generally light, but sometimes that's all it takes with temperatures near freezing for some slick travel out there. A light mix tomorrow morning through about 1 or 2 at the latest in the afternoon, and then just mostly cloudy for the remainder of the day. A couple of scattered showers on Wednesday as a mix, Concord south and east, snow to the north, but also a few breaks of sun the farther south you go. And then milder for the end of the week. Thursday, a lot of sun, maybe some showers in here during the day on Friday. So one system departs by early tomorrow morning. Second system races in behind it just in time for Tuesday morning's commute. You'll see it here on Futurecast as any rain departs. Here comes the next batch filling in on the backside during tomorrow morning, all wrapping up by about 1 or 2 tomorrow afternoon. Not talking about much in the way of any frozen accumulation. Having said that, with a couple of mixed showers on Wednesday, we could see a light glazing of ice on untreated surfaces, especially in areas north and west of the state capital for later this evening into tomorrow morning. And because of that, winter weather advisory is up. Could also see an additional coating to maybe an inch or 2 of snow on top of that as that next system arrives tomorrow morning. Now, in southern New Hampshire, even though we don't have a winter weather advisory, keep in mind sometimes damp roadways can be slick just in their own right, and we could see a little bit of wet snow mixing in with that chilly rain for Tuesday morning's commute. Again, main effect here will be for wet roadways the farther south and east that you do go. Highs tomorrow, 30s to around 40, running several degrees below the norm for this time of year, but we'll get closer to that by the tail end of the week. So weather impact day for tomorrow, keep in mind either wet or icy roads, depending on where you are in the state. Best bet for the slick travel due to some light icing would be well north and west of Concord. And then just cloudy in the afternoon. Breaks of sun, a couple of mixed showers Wednesday, bright breezy, seasonable Thursday. Temperatures into the upper 40s for some on Friday, but a better shot of some showers. Leftover flakes of snow up north on Saturday, otherwise partly sunny and breezy. Maybe a few showers Saturday night, and then drier for the rest of Sunday into Monday.
Okay, and there you go. So, light mix this morning in some parts of New Hampshire with some slick roadways, so just take it easy on your way to work or wherever you need to go today. That is your weather forecast from WMUR News 9, Mike Haddad. And if you want more weather coverage, you can just go to WMUR.com and click on weather. Now let's get over to your news. First up, autopsies expected to be released for man, baby found dead in Hillsborough. AG's office labels death suspicious, calls incident isolated. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Trying hard to get a better signal on your cell phone? Let signalbooster.com help.
A horrifying discovery inside an apartment in Hillsborough has left neighbors stunned.
That's just really sad. You don't know what the circumstances are, but whatever. Some kind of tragedy.
Yesterday morning, police were called to the home on Bridge Street. Inside, officers found the bodies of 4-month-old Mackenzie Deuce and her father, 39-year-old Miles Deuce. Autopsies began today, but the Attorney General's office says it can't release the results just yet. Their deaths are considered suspicious.
That's terrible. It's very, very sad. I mean, for the mom, for the family.
Kittery Durgan went to high school with Miles.
He certainly was just a good, kind person, so I can only imagine that as a parent, he was probably that same way. You know, he was very helpful to anybody that would need help, and he was always very polite and, you know, a kind person.
Investigators do expect to release more information soon, saying it's an isolated incident and everyone involved has been identified.
After autopsies are done, we will assess all of the information that we have available based on the investigation that we've conducted.
In the meantime, neighbors are waiting for answers and keeping the baby's mother in their thoughts.
Well, I think people just think of the tragedy of it, the family, you know, the mom and the extended family.
Through a GoFundMe page, several $1,000s have been raised for the funerals of Mackenzie and Miles. Monica?
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Hampton awarded federal matching grant of $185,000 to help flooding relief. And let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Folks in low-lying areas of Hampton Beach, especially along the marsh west of Ashworth Avenue and along Kings Highway and Meadow Pond, have been experiencing high tide flooding and drainage issues, especially with big rain events, increasingly more severe and more often.
They came out quite vocally, and rightfully so, in the past few years, and we had passed some warrant articles to get funding to start studying the situation.
Then, hearing from DES that their funds could be matched by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation.
And the point of the whole grant program is to create projects around the country that help us deal with flooding and help protect natural resources that help protect communities against flooding.
Word of Hampton's approval just in.
So this is almost $190,000 that we'll have to assist with pushing forward designs.
Now they can look at potential nature-based solutions and preliminary designs and costs ranging from a dune system to engineered culverts and drains.
We've partnered with UNH, we're partnering with DES, different divisions within, Fish and Game, eventually Army Corps through this proposal for permitting. So it just really expanded the horizons. Our consultants, we have 2 different engineering firms on board, so this is just great.
This could also set the town up for more warrant articles and more matching grants, including for the construction phase of whatever is decided. Sea level rise is a complex issue. Communities up and down the coast assessing ways to be more resilient. Live at Hampton Beach, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Durham Town Councilors defend Frostfest will consider replacement for wreaths. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jean Mackin.
Shop Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses, and with a minimum purchase, get a free air fryer, special edition Keurig, 50-inch smart TV, or up to 6 years no-interest financing.
Exclusions apply, including clearance. See store for details.
Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses.
The wreaths will be hung from the lampposts with care. Durham's evergreen holiday tree will be lit without a formal flipping of the switch. And Santa is welcome at Frost Fest 2019. Just no grand entrance this year.
In an effort to be all-inclusive, it's having the exact opposite effect.
Durham's town councilors say in trying to make the holidays welcoming and inclusive, they've been yelled at, received hateful emails, and social media posts.
I apologize, I guess on behalf of humanity, for some of the nastiness on social media that you've had to experience.
Now, the holiday wreaths could be replaced next year. We're told they're at the end of their life, so $10,000 is included in the next budget to buy new decorations and $6,000 to hire a company to help the Winter Celebration Committee try to meet everyone's needs, because this is already drawing more discussion.
There was some talk about replacing the wreaths with stars. I believe that wreaths are actually more secular than stars. Stars is a symbol directly associated with the religious side of Christmas. Wreaths come from the pagan tradition.
And no plans for a religious symbol like a menorah yet this year, because no request has come in so far. Those wreaths go up right after Thanksgiving, and Frost Fest is Saturday, December 7th, right here, downtown. Live in Durham tonight, Jean Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Lawyers for both sides meet in case of New Hampshire's only death row inmate. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Michael Addison has been on death row for almost 11 years for the murder of Manchester police officer Michael Briggs. When the state legislature abolished the death penalty this past summer, it was not supposed to impact Addison's death sentence. But University of New Hampshire law professor Buzz Scher says it may play a role in his appeal.
The Addison case has now become a one-off case. There's only one person on death row in New Hampshire.
Scher says on a practical level, Addison's case is exempt from the repeal and its legal status should not change. But the legislature's move may have an indirect impact.
Whatever judges the various versions of the case are going to get in front of from now on, in the back of their mind, at least unconsciously, will be the fact this is the last person in New Hampshire.
Scher says the appeals process is far from over at the state and federal levels.
It's a hard thing to think about. Really? We've abolished, the citizenry wants the death penalty abolished. You know, it got through essentially 2/3 of both houses of the legislature, yet we're still going to execute somebody.
Prosecutors say they don't expect any future court action, at least at Superior Court level, for another year. Putting live at Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Top New Hampshire Democrats say anti-primary comments, nothing new. Challenges possible next year. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
And it doesn't matter what background people are from.
Earlier this year, Julian Castro was singing the praises of Concord activists trying to raise awareness about the plight of migrant children separated from their parents. Now, he believes they should not have the platform of the First in the Nation primary because of the Granite State's relative lack of diversity. Longtime New Hampshire primary antagonist Harry Reid, the former senator, also recently slammed early voting states Iowa and New Hampshire, saying, quote, "Those states aren't representative of our country anymore." The criticisms are not new, but they're an indicator New Hampshire Democrats could have yet another primary calendar fight on their hands.
These comments come up every 4 years. Usually they come while we're trying to set the calendar. This time it's after the calendar has been set and we're heading into the primary.
The NC committeewoman Kathy Sullivan says the current order of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada is the result of years' worth of efforts to make the process more inclusive.
Both racial diversity, ethnic diversity, geographic diversity, economic diversity.
As far as the candidates who are frustrated, longtime primary watchers say they tend to be the ones seeing their White House hopes fade away.
A lot of the times they need to really look at their own campaigns and figure out why they weren't doing well, and there's usually a lot more deeper reasons other than the people of the state of New Hampshire.
Other activists say primary critics are overlooking the fact that New Hampshire has empowered and elected women across the board at the highest levels of government. And they say that's a constituency that deserves some representation as well. In the studio, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video in that report. U.S. features point to a higher open. U.S. stock index features were higher Tuesday morning. New closed-door testimony revealed as the nation gears up for second week of public hearings. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Washington now for the latest on impeachment. Big week of public hearings ahead. 8 witnesses set to testify, including Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, the top Ukraine expert at the National Security Council. He sounded the alarm inside the White House after listening in on President Trump's July 25th phone call with the Ukrainian president. Also testifying tomorrow, Kurt Volker, the former U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine, and on Wednesday, Ambassador Gordon Sondland, the witness who had the most direct contact with President Trump during the pressure campaign on Ukraine. And on Thursday, Fiona Hill, who is the top White House official dealing with Russia, she's going to round out the week. And all this comes after new closed-door testimony this weekend that ties President Trump more directly to the push for political investigations from Ukraine. Our senior national correspondent Terry Moran is on Capitol Hill with the latest. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, George. Investigators, as you say, worked through much of the weekend, taking more testimony, sworn testimony behind closed doors. Republicans have been saying that the witnesses so far that the public has heard don't tie for the president directly. They aren't talking about what the president said or did directly. This week, that will change. This week, the impeachment hearings zero in on a crucial witness, the middleman, U.S. Ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, who could provide explosive public testimony. Sondland is a direct link between the shadow campaign to pressure Ukraine into conducting politically charged investigations and President Trump himself. A new witness has now come forward and claimed under oath that Sondland, a Trump megadonor, took his orders directly from the president.
Mr. Sondland has to decide whether his primary loyalty is to America or whether his primary loyalty is to the President of the United States.
In testimony released this weekend, former NSC staff member Tim Morrison put Sondland right at the center of the alleged effort to pressure Ukraine to investigate the president's political rivals, including Joe Biden, using nearly $400 million in military aid as leverage. Morrison testified behind closed doors that Trump and Sondland spoke approximately 5 times on the phone while that vital military aid was on hold. David Holmes, a top staffer in the U.S. Embassy in Kiev, Ukraine, testified behind closed doors on Friday that he and others overheard one phone call in which Trump asked Sondland for an update. Holmes testified that after that call, Sondland said the president didn't give an expletive about Ukraine and only cared about big stuff, like the Biden investigation that Mr. Giuliani was pushing. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi is offering Trump the opportunity to testify in person or in writing before the House investigators. This morning, Trump tweeted, "I like the idea and will, in order to get Congress focused again, strongly consider it." Meanwhile, Republicans are arguing Democrats are still grasping at straws.
I think the Democrats know they're in trouble on this, which is why we keep moving the goalposts.
And Terry, and that's why, as you pointed out, Ambassador Sondland really the key witness this week on Wednesday morning testimony over the weekend that he had at least 5 phone calls with President Trump, and he had said in his previous testimony that he didn't know these investigations were about the Bidens. One of the big questions is he going to have to revise that testimony?
Well, George, he has already had to go back and correct his closed-door testimony. There are a lot of I don't recalls, and now there are witnesses who heard him talk about, they say, the Bidens and the president's demands for the Ukraine to investigate them. He is on the hot seat, no question about it.
And meantime, we got a new poll come that's out just right now that's showing that 70% of the public believes what the president did with Ukraine was wrong. A slim majority, 51%, say that they will now support impeaching and removing President Trump from office. But one of the big questions going forward is going to be, will these hearings make a difference? Will they change people's minds about impeachment right now?
Well, our poll also shows that 21% of Americans have made up their minds after the first week of testimony. That suggests that they were already locked in, or that really the testimony they've heard is enough. But that's a big percentage who still have to make up their minds. And 70% saying the president did something wrong. The president keeps saying the call was perfect. He did nothing wrong. Our poll suggests that may go down in history, along with I did not have sex with that woman, as a very ineffective presidential defense.
Hallmark of another impeachment. Okay, Terry, thanks very much. You'll be joining us for our coverage of the House impeachment hearings tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. It starts every day at 9 Eastern.
Okay, and there you go. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.